In the 14th century, the world was vast and full of mysteries. The seas were unknown, the deserts endless, and the lands beyond the horizon were the stuff of legends. Few dared to venture into the unknown, but among those few was a young man from the city of Tangier in Morocco. His name was Ibn Battuta, and his journey would become one of the greatest adventures in history. At just 21 years old, Ibn Battuta set out on a journey that would change the course of his life, and the world's. His initial goal was simple: to embark on the pilgrimage to Mecca. For a devout Muslim, this was a sacred journey, a significant milestone. But Ibn Battuta was no ordinary traveller. He had a thirst for knowledge and adventure, a curiosity that went far beyond the pilgrimage. He left his family behind with no intention of returning soon, and travelled across North Africa, through Egypt, into Syria, and then to Mecca, where he fulfilled his religious duty. But what began as a pilgrimage soon transformed into something much grander. Instead of returning home, Ibn Battuta continued his journey, driven by a desire to explore the vastness of the Islamic world and beyond. His travels took him across Africa, Asia, and Europe, spanning over 75,000 miles, a distance more than double that of any other explorer of his time. Ibn Battuta sailed across the Mediterranean, journeyed into the deserts of Arabia, navigated the coasts of East Africa, and even ventured as far as China and India. Everywhere he went, he encountered new cultures, new peoples, and, most importantly, new ideas that had flourished during the Islamic Golden Age. Although Ibn Battuta lived after the Islamic Golden Age had passed, the intellectual and cultural legacy of that era was still alive and thriving. The great achievements in science, mathematics, philosophy, and trade that characterized the Golden Age had set the foundation for the world Ibn Battuta explored. In cities like Cairo, the heart of intellectual life, he encountered scholars and thinkers who continued to build upon the knowledge left by great minds such as Al-Razi, Ibn Sina, and Al-Farabi. These figures had shaped much of the knowledge that Ibn Battuta found in his travels, even if they lived centuries earlier. In Damascus, he listened to discussions inspired by the works of philosophers like Ibn Rushd and Al-Ghazali. The intellectual environment in these cities was a direct extension of the ideas and achievements from the Golden Age. The philosophies of the past, rooted deeply in Islamic thought, continued to shape debates and inspire new generations, and Ibn Battuta found himself at the intersection of these ideas. As Ibn Battuta journeyed further east to India, he marvelled at the Delhi Sultanate, its grand court, its thriving intellectual life, and the integration of Islamic thought into governance and society. The cities he visited were centres of culture and knowledge, where scholars debated mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy, fields profoundly influenced by earlier Islamic thinkers. But Ibn Battuta's journey was not just about encountering new cultures. It was also about witnessing how the knowledge and innovations of the Islamic Golden Age had spread far beyond the borders of the Muslim world. In the Maldives, he served as a judge, observing the practice of Islamic law in a remote island nation. Even here, far from the bustling centres of learning like Baghdad or Cairo, the legacy of the Golden Age was alive, shaping governance and daily life. His travels then took him to China, where he saw the marvels of the Yuan dynasty. In the cities of Hangzhou and Beijing, he encountered technological advancements and governance systems that had roots in the earlier contributions of Islamic scholars in fields like engineering, mathematics, and astronomy. Ibn Battuta's journey showed how the Islamic world's achievements continued to ripple through distant lands. When he returned to Morocco after more than 3 decades of travel, Ibn Battuta had witnessed a world that was deeply interconnected by the legacy of the Islamic Golden Age. His journey was a living testament to the lasting influence of the ideas and innovations of that era. The knowledge and culture that had flourished in the Islamic world continued to shape societies, cities, and minds, long after the Golden Era had ended. Ibn Battuta documented his travels in a book titled the Rihla, a masterpiece of historical and geographical literature that remains one of the most valuable works from that time. In it, he described a world that was both familiar and foreign, a world shaped by the great scholars and thinkers of the Islamic Golden Age. Through Ibn Battuta, we see that the Islamic Golden Age did not end with the fall of the great cities or the fading of the caliphates. Instead, its legacy lived on, influencing the world in profound ways. Ibn Battuta's travels were an extension of the intellectual achievements of the past, a bridge between the eras. His journey showed how the ideas that began in the Golden Age continued to shape the world, even into the 14th century and beyond. As the final chapter of our series, Ibn Battuta stands as a reminder that the Islamic Golden Age was not just a moment in time, it was a lasting force, an intellectual movement that transcended eras, influencing minds and cultures long after it had passed. His travels were a continuation of a journey that began with the great scholars of the past, and through his writings, the world would come to understand that the spirit of the Islamic Golden Age still lived on in the minds and hearts of those who followed.